Something big is brewing in St. Louis as we get a wild report coming from an NHL insider linking the St. Louis Blues to a young star defenseman in Noah Dobson. But not only that, we get a huge draft report linking the Blues to yet a fast, mobile defenseman that could change the outlook for this team as Doug Armstrong continues to build for the future. We have so much to break down in this episode, and you're not going to want to miss it. From everything from the Noah Dobson reports all the way to what could be a steal of the draft with a young mobile defenseman later on this episode. Before we get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the Blues fans watching this. Anyone that's watching, your support has been incredible. We love doing content. So if you're enjoying it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. But with that, dears, we got up straight into the first topic today. And before we get into Noah Dobson and this draft pick, I just wanted to kind of flash, just in case you missed it, we do see the new era of Blues. They got brand new jerseys. They look gorgeous. Go down and leave a comment on how you feel about this. But going into the prospect who may actually be wearing this jersey at some point, we get a report coming in. I'm going to link this down below, linking the Blues to Logan Hensier going into the draft. I mean, listen, a mobile defenseman, the stats might not look the prettiest, but still a shutdown guy that can skate. Darius, looking at the Blues, is this a draft where you could see the Blues go out, get a pick like this, maybe a mobile defenseman? Or do you think maybe looking at the team and the outlook at center might be the better position?
Well, maybe a center for the immediate. And I think a lot of people could agree with that. But if you look at the defense core of the St. Louis Blues, a lot of them are locked up and they're good for the immediate, but a lot of them are getting older. You have Nick Leddy, who's there. You know, we just touched on Ryan Suter in a video yesterday. Might not return, but again, he's an older option. Colton Parayko, like all these guys are getting older. Cam Fowler's not getting any younger. So you do have to start planning for the future. And that's exactly what you can do in this draft. And like you alluded to, I mean, the point production from that player in particular is nothing special, but another, shutdown option on the blue line. He's a mobile defender. He actually kind of reminds me, not in terms of like his actual play style, but in terms of what he is to this draft as EJ Emery last year in the draft, that it was like, okay, his stats don't really jump off the page at you, but this guy is going to be a great shutdown defenseman, a mobile defenseman, a guy who's not going to shy away from, physicality or anything like that. Once he makes the NHL. So a little bit of a different defenseman. Of course, everyone's looking for the high flying, offensive defenseman at this point, right? And guys who really put up all those points and that are very, attractive to GMs and teams. But this is a guy that could, pay off huge for the Blues down the road when he eventually develops and some of your older guys are retiring or moving on to different teams. So I do like this pick. And again, center help would have to be in the immediate through free agency, via trade, something like that. But I like this pick. And again, he kind of reminds me of as last year's first round pick, EJ Emery, in by way of, his stats are not going to jump out the page off you at you, but it's going to be a pretty good pick.
But I mean, Blues fans, looking at the draft and saying draft, you guys want us to cover more draft content? Because we can definitely do that heading into Friday's draft, or depending when you're watching this, it could be after, but there's so much to cover on this. Is this the type of player you would like to see come to the Blues, a mobile defenseman that's great with a shutdown game? Would it be a center, a winger, a goaltender? Go down and leave a comment down below. But with that, let's hop straight into what everyone clicked on this video for. And it is a report from David Pagnotta from the sheet, and he says, I've heard St. Louis is poking around a little bit on Noah Dobson. Now, Noah Dobson's a very interesting name. We're seeing reports that the Islanders are looking at moving him. They're taking calls on him. They're actively looking at the trade market, and this is a defenseman that, in my opinion, could completely reshape this back end. That's a very good defensive core. You have a couple of guys in Nick Leddy that maybe you send back to Long Island. A guy like Falk might be on his way out, but we know this young defenseman in Noah Dobson would make a huge impact. 25 years old, had a bit of a down year compared to his previous years, but we do know an RFA looking for a big contract, projected from Scotia Stats at $9.5 million. Just overall, looking at Noah Dobson, yes, it's going to cost a lot. Yes, it's going to cost a big chunk of your salary, and this does not include the crew contract, which would bump them up to about $11 million. But looking at Noah Dobson, is this the type of guy, in your opinion, Darius, that would come in on this team and immediately make this one of the best defensive cores in the entire National Hockey League? Or is it someone that you would almost want to stray away from because that contract's going to be a hefty one?
It's going to be a hefty one. It is, but you can sign him long term. I do believe that. And like I just mentioned, you want to start planning for the future a little bit. You want a player that's going to come in who's a little bit younger, and he's a great player. It's not like you're getting a prospect in this way, right? He's been in the league for quite some time already at this point. He's 25 and he's looking for his first big extension, which makes sense. So it's going to eat up a lot of the $11 million that you're going to have in free cap space, but you can free up more cap space. Obviously, the Islanders are going to want a lot back in return. So he's going to be expensive, not only by way of salary, but of course to acquire the player as well. I don't think this is the type of player that is going to make it to offer sheet territory, and I don't think that the Blues should probably look into that this year, at least with Noah Dobson. I think it's probably going to be a trade, and it's probably going to get done before Friday because the Islanders want to get everything solidified before they make their first overall pick, which is probably going to be a defenseman as well. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But he would help the team. Absolutely. I don't know who you send back. Nick Leddy, like, I don't think the Islanders want spare parts or anything like that. I think they want somebody who can still come in, make a bit of an impact at the NHL level, probably some futures as well to make it worthwhile for them. But, because Noah Dobson is a great defenseman and he could slot in right there on the right side as well. You have your solidified top pairing in Parayko and Fowler heading into next season. If you have Dobson on the second pairing, it's a really good defense core. It just got that much better. So I think it's a very interesting idea. And I think as the week goes on, the Islanders are actually going to get, and it sounds weird to say because he's a great player, a little bit more desperate to trade this player so it doesn't get to offer sheet territory. Because I feel like this year, if you let your players get to offer sheet territory, there's going to be a lot of them flying around because there's a lot of teams that are actively preparing for that.
I mean, when you look at the St. Louis Blues, the ones that look like the king of the offer sheet, going out and getting Broberg, Holloway. But the big thing is, looking at an offer sheet, yes, this is a possibility. You would have to get some of your draft picks back. As you can see, they are only eligible to sign him at a 4.6 to 7 million due to the lack of draft picks they have right now. And this you could be required in a part of a trade. But the big thing, if you move on from if you get Noah Dobson, story, and you offer him that $9 million contract, you're looking at giving up either 2 firsts, a second, and a third, or first, second, and a third. This kind of gouges and goes through all your draft capital. The big thing is you're looking at a guy that has a big impact. We've seen him put up 70 points with the New York Islanders. Yes, he's still young. He can continue to grow. But in my opinion, you have something big brewing already and just kind of growing with this decor. Yes, you need to reshape it. Yes, you need to get a tiny bit younger. But in my opinion, Blues fans, moving on from this, moving on from key players, maybe it's a Kyrou trade. That would be very interesting. But moving on from these guys, I think, in my opinion, kind of hurts what the Blues are building. And like Darius, looking at this, would you move out Jordan Kyrou, say, for Noah Dobson if the Islanders looked at this and said, hey, we would do a 1-for-1?
I wouldn't, because I think that the Blues actually need more help up front than they do on defense right now. And I know a lot of people are going to maybe scoff at that, but I think in terms of what I mean is, at least if you do trade Jordan Kyrou and then you add on defense, you're very bottom heavy at that point, which can work. And we've seen it work in the playoffs before, but you do have to get to the playoffs. So I wouldn't do that one necessarily. I do think that could get it done. And it's a very interesting idea. But I think if you're trading Jordan Kyrou, you need more than just that piece back. And then you would have to rejig the rest of the defense. So I feel like it would make you a little bit too bottom heavy as a team, and you still need some offensive output, and you wouldn't have that much salary cap space still to go out. And obviously, you would have still a significant amount, but you want to leave yourself with some flexibility during the year as well. So could get very interesting. We know that if Jordan Kyrou is going to be traded, it's going to be before Tuesday. So I think it's not looking very likely, but anything can happen. And I feel like at this year's draft, things are actually going to get pretty crazy.
And I mean, Blues fans, what's your thoughts on all this? What is your thoughts on the new jerseys to start? Because in my opinion, I love them. The numbers on the back, a couple of people aren't happy, but overall, great jerseys. What is your thoughts on them being linked to Logan as a pick they can take at this year's draft? And what is your thoughts on the Noah Dobson rumors? Is this a guy you would like to see Doug Armstrong go out and get, or do you rather them use the salary cap to fill out this top end and maybe bring in a couple low price guys that have huge upside? Go ahead and leave a comment down below. You're not going to want to miss any of this content, so make sure to hit the subscribe while you're down there as well. But I've been your host, Mark, my co-host, Darius, and take care.